Oh, the Iranian opposition says the anti-government protests there have been spreading. The National Council of Resistance of Iran is encouraged by the brazen protests in the streets. Here's some video that they say from social media that shows anti-regime demonstrators ripping down the image of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. You know, that bold defiance is really almost unheard of in Iran, and it could be growing. The opposition group tells Fox News that there have been mass demonstrations against the regime in at least 31 cities, with some protesters calling for death to Khamenei, death to Iran's President Hassan Rouhani, and chanting the dictator must go, while pro-government counter-protests have blamed the resistance group itself for the unrest. So how far can this go? Rebecca Heinrichs joins us now, a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, who joins us from Washington. So, Rebecca, we haven't witnessed this type of anti-regime anger unleashed on the streets since at least 2009. Does it possibly, potentially threaten the power grip that the mullahs have on that nation?
Well, certainly there is great discontent among the Iranian people, and this has been brewing, and it continues to pop up, and then it goes back down. But there is a pro-democracy movement that has existed there. It's against the mullahs and the control there. And I just want to say something about how brave these individuals are who are protesting the government, because this is a government that jails protesters. This is a government that has the so-called morality police, that has thrown acid in the face of women, Iranians, who don't cover their head properly according to the Iranian dress codes there. So these are very brave people. They're tired of this regime that has had such an iron fist with the people. And so it's great that President Trump has already shown support for those who are demonstrating there.
Well, you know, those people, among them are the followers of Maryam Rajavi. She's the leader of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. And she gave a videotaped statement actually saying what you just said, praising what she calls the brave actions of the demonstrators. Here's part of Mrs. Rajavi's statement. Listen.
The Iranian people demand the overthrow of the ruling religious dictatorship. It is their right to topple this repressive regime. And I emphasize, regime change in Iran is within reach.
You know, she's been leading this group, and she's been saying that for quite some time. I've interviewed her, by the way, in Paris. Does her message resonate? Will it resonate further? And can it resonate in the Oval Office?
Well, I think it does. I think that the Iranian people, this is why I think one of the smartest things that the Trump administration has done is to differentiate between the Iranian people and the Iranian regime. The Iranian regime, again, it supports terrorism abroad. Rouhani, the president of Iran, many former Obama admin officials continue to try to perpetuate the myth that he's a moderate. He's not a moderate under Rouhani's control. The Iranian government has tested missiles in violation of UN Security Council resolutions, continues to fund terrorism with Hezbollah, continues to support the Assad regime in Syria, which is brutal. And so the Iranian people are tired. They're tired of the isolation. They're tired of the oppressiveness of the Iranian regime. And so what the Trump administration can do is do what the Obama administration didn't. Support the Iranian people, support the pro-democracy movement, and further isolate the regime. Don't fund the regime, isolate the regime, and that will speed up a lot of these pro-democracy movements.
Why do you think, then, that the Obama administration didn't really do that?
I think that the Obama administration believed that it could legitimize the Iranian government, and that by legitimizing the Iranian government, it might have the effect in the long term of moderating the government. Of course, that is counterfactual. That isn't the way it works. You don't reward regimes that oppress their people and are anti-American and anti-Israel. And so all the Iran deal did was it legitimized the regime, and it sort of flushed the regime with cash to continue its anti-terrorism efforts abroad and to oppress its people at home. So now what the Trump administration needs to do is take a holistic approach to Iran and look for ways again to inflict pain on the regime and support and demonstrate solidarity with the pro-democracy movement that exists.
You know, President Trump had a pretty stinging tweet about all this, and it's in contrast, some would say, critics say, to what President Obama did during the Green Revolution in 2009, that he basically was quiet the first few days. After a week, he did get tougher. How can you contrast, or can you contrast, this president's actions against the former President Obama, who some thought that if he did put the full weight of the U.S. presidency behind the Green Revolution, perhaps the mullahs in Tehran would have been toppled back in 2009?
We missed a major opportunity in 2009 when President Obama, I mean, he did worse than not say anything in the beginning, because when he did speak, he equivocated about, this was still just up to Iran to deal with the issue. And he didn't condemn the Iranian regime, because what the Obama administration wanted more than anything was to legitimize the regime and secure the nuclear Iran deal, which, by the way, it didn't even end the nuclear program. It merely paused it. And now whenever you make the regime rich, it's going to just continue the program once
do you think they cut these deals to try to, preserve the nuclear deal at almost any cost?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was central to what the Obama administration was trying to do. And so it played down. There was a report that came out with Politico about the Obama administration ending an anti-Hezbollah drug cartel because it was trying to, look for opportunities to please the Iranians. And at all costs, it just wanted this deal with the Iranians. And so we really missed a major opportunity with this pro-democracy movement. Again, this isn't the United States imposing our will or our desires on this regime. This is allowing this organic movement to just go, take its own course. It's a sovereign nation, but the people get to decide. And this was, again, the Green Revolution started after 2009, after there was these fraudulent elections. And so the Iranian people, they want to govern themselves. They want self-determination. That's something that the United States government should support.
Rebecca, right now, do you think, if the president takes stronger measures of some sort, can that change? Ms. Rajavi is saying the clerical regime will be overthrown by the Iranian people. She calls on the international community, she says, to support the Iranian people's uprising for freedom in Iran. What should the president do right now to try and make that happen?
You do two things. You demonstrate just open and unapologetic, just moral support to the Green Revolution that's there, to the people who are there. You do what we can to make sure that we condemn the Iranian regime, and you further isolate, levy further sanctions, and you just constantly drive this wedge between those who want self-determination and freedom and the Iranian regime that poses a direct threat to the American people and our ally, Israel, in the region.
I guess, as they say, you can strike while the iron is hot, so we'll see if these demonstrations continue and what the result will be. Rebecca Heinrichs, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks.
Of course.